All right, so this is Preston. Here's Preston. Preston's Roadmap to Success video. And what the Guardians primarily want to work on today was to help him stop barking. So one of the first things I want to remind you to be doing is the leadership exercise. Remember, that's when you set invisible boundaries. Preston! Set invisible boundaries using the escalating consequences. Remember, that's hiss, stand up and face, walk abruptly towards, and then a leash timeout if necessary. Now, when you set invisible boundaries, one thing, pick one behavior at a time. So if he's staying outside of the boundary and he's barking, ignore the barking for now and just keep working through it. And as long as he's staying behind the boundary, you can go ahead and take steps backwards. Remember to only take one step at a time. That communicates that you're moving with intention. If you start taking lots of steps, it looks like you're just kind of shuffling around and it doesn't look as communicative. So we want to make sure we're taking one step at a time to tell him he's doing a good job. Good boy, Preston. Other things that I want to, and the other good thing about that leadership exercise is that you can set invisible boundaries wherever you want. So whether that means don't play with the baby, you can teach him to stop playing with the baby or kissing at the baby too much. You can teach him not to go too close to the front door when guests arrive. You can use this in all different areas of the home. You just want to make sure you have a really firm idea of where that boundary is. So I usually recommend picking some place where there's a surface change, so carpet to hardwood floors or a doorway, somewhere where you know where that boundary is firmly, because we're really bad at picking out boundaries and then having it be kind of a gray area. If you have a firm boundary line, dogs will learn much faster. Preston. Okay, next I want to, and then with the leadership exercise, I want to remind you to be doing this once a day for the next 30 days. And then for the next month, I want you to do it once a week and then keep up with the regular maintenance. I tend to like to do this on the 1st of every month. It's just easy for me to remember, you know, June 1st, July 1st, do the leadership exercise. So use this as a maintenance to help keep leadership and structure in the home. Remember to use our petting with a purpose technique, and that's petting them when they're doing good behavior. So whether that's sitting or standing calmly or laying down. You can also pair this with passive training. So if the dog sits, say sit. So you can keep training them to do different things based on just them doing it already on their own and you pairing that word. That also reminds me that I want you to start labeling different rooms in the house. Like if you're going to go into the office or the bedroom, say, okay, let's go in the bedroom, and then go into the bedroom. So they start learning different areas of the house. It'll give them more of a feeling like they know where they're going. It gives more intention. It gives a little more structure. They can increase their confidence because they know what to do and what's expected of them. I want to remind you to watch the video above this one on how to help him stop barking at people when they arrive. It will be helpful when people are first walking in the door or during time periods when people are just going to be walking through the house, to put him on a leash so you restrict some of his freedom so he can't take off and start barking. It'll be harder to get him to come back from barking than to prevent him from taking off and barking in the first place. As you put him on a leash and he's able to look over and then come back to you, no barking, and he's really not moving much, I would say if this might take a couple of weeks, then you can start weaning off of the leash. You also want to make sure you're doing this actively, so you want to do active training. Ask people or your girlfriend's boyfriend to come upstairs and do this actively. Sit down and then start walking away and doing this intentionally. I'd rather you see you doing this for 5 minutes every day than doing this for an hour a couple times a week. You'll have a lot more impact by doing small interval trainings a couple times throughout the day or throughout the week than doing big long periods of training. Dogs get exhausted just like we do. So you want to make sure you're keeping it pretty short and brief. You can also use a pretty similar technique called counter conditioning with any types of noises. So you can get a recording of your doorbell and put it on your phone so that way you can change the volume. Start with a really low volume. Give him a treat, take something like this, take a treat and squish it between your fingers. And while he's listening to that noise, let him just nibble at it like that. So that way he's not just gulping it down. And it takes him a minute to be kind of nibbling away at the treat. And then you can pair that with the noise and start increasing the volume of the doorbell as you go. You can also do this with thunderstorm noises or any other noise that he's really responsive to. If you can get a recording of it, start it with a really low volume level and slowly work up to a louder and louder noise over the course of a couple of days. We also worked on our structured walk exercise, so you can go to dogonproblems.com, go to dog training tips, then go to the search bar, type in structured walk, and you'll see a whole bunch of videos on how we go through the structured walk, how to put that martingale collar on with a leash set up, so you'll have a reminder of how to do that if you do forget. So go ahead and see those videos. They're free and available for you to watch. And then last, I want to remind you that everything you do trains your dog, only sometimes you mean it.